You might be looking at this video and look back at my previous video about how freedom was boring and think, oh, so no, manga's just a 12-year-old shonen boy. But no, okay? I'm one of you, you know? I hate all isekai and boo to SAO especially. And yeah, no, that was a lie. I'm just a dog for Eminence in Shadow. It's not often that an isekai starring a black-haired, overpowered protagonist with a harem piques my interest, but... Oh, wait, that's not the right clip. It's not often that... That's not the right clip either. It's not off. Okay, who's that? I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain to you what Eminence in Shadow is. And even if I did, it wouldn't do the show any justice. Like, picture a guy who's overpowered and OP and really strong getting hit by a... Then he wakes up in another world and he gets super overpowered and OP and really strong and... Yeah, I don't know, that's kind of all I got from it. It's easy for someone to think the show is shallow, because it is, but there's actually something here. I'm not trying to say this anime is the most superb thing man has ever written. It's just the execution of this anime that has me so on edge, and I kinda don't know why. I genuinely don't know what makes this anime so good. I'm usually not one to find these types of power fantasy anime interesting, I just watch them to be able to say that I've watched them. But with Eminence in Shadow, it's not like that, which is so weird. And guys, I swear I have taste. Hulu is my go-to anime streaming platform. I think I know what I'm talking about. I'm not the biggest fan of power fantasies that have no struggle. I don't even tend to like parodies, and the harem genre really is not in the front of my mind right now. I'm done. Completely. So this anime's performance is a complete mystery to me. I don't know, I just want to take this anime by the neck and like gobble it up because it's so perfect. Not perfect in the way where everything I want to happen happens, but perfect in the way to where when the anime wants to do something, it actually commits to doing it. This feels less like a carefully crafted story and more like an expressive work of art. It feels like the creator of the story knew exactly what they wanted and just put it down onto paper without caring about anything else. And it worked. It turns out it's not only Sid who doesn't lose, it's the entire anime. The Eminence in Shadow was released in sub and dub at the same time. This anime even sponsored a YouTuber. I didn't even know they could do that! So now we're here. I'm talking about how a fundamentally bare-bones anime was able to appeal to an unexpectedly large portion of this community, and you're probably one of those it appealed to. See, in my first Eminence in Shadow video, I said the anime did good because of its timing and presentation, and I still agree with that. But I think I'll use a different word this time. That was not the word I was trying to use. Execution. Execution is how I judge all anime for the most part, and that's because it's a relatively fair scale to work with. I can't say one anime is better than another because the animation is smoother, or even because the story is deeper, even though that seems to be the common consensus. To me, it's just about how well the anime performed and if I was interested enough in the world to continue watching it. And that's the thing here. The second season of Eminence in Shadow feels more focused on character building. It's a lot like the second season of Classroom of the Elite in that way. Eminence in Shadow season 1 was already really good, but then someone randomly decided to bring in development, and at first I didn't know what to do with myself because I don't take this anime seriously, what? But it ended up working out so well. The first season was like living in a mansion, you know, cool at first, but then after a while it's like, okay, where's the bathroom? But the second season was like a cozy cottage in the woods. Even in the first arc of season 2, when Sid first shows up on screen, it didn't feel like a new beginning to anything really. It was more like a feeling of meeting an old friend. Jeez, I really need to get some air. I like how in this new season we actually go more into the personalities of the 7 shadows. The first season really only told us about one side of each of these characters, but the second season showed us that these characters aren't just typical cliches. They're walking people with cliches. The best example of this character development that I'm talking about comes in the form of episode 8, otherwise known as a beach episode. It's basically anime tradition at this point to have a randomly placed beach episode or some variation of it in any romance or long-running series, and usually these types of episodes are fully skippable and tend to serve little to no purpose aside from increasing anime runtime and, shall I say, budget. But with the Eminence in Shadow, both those things are still there, but there's a bit more than that. Everything from the moment this episode starts makes it a must-watch, mostly because of the character understanding this episode gives us. Sid isn't even in this episode, but it still didn't feel pointless to watch. It actually felt like a glass of cold water. Because the episode was still hilarious, and it still felt like the Eminence in Shadow, but if it stopped, you know, taking its steroid pills for a minute. This episode gave me more insight as to who these characters were and their relationship with the others, especially between Delta and Zeta. I actually just said that, like, as if they're like living human beings. And this episode wasn't the only one that showed more sides to these characters. It was just one of the more obvious ones. I could have gone into the fight between John Smith and Gaten, or Gettin, or however you pronounce his name, or Alpha and John Smith. All of these kind of did the same thing in terms of character development. Sid, or Shadow, or John Smith, or Mundane Man, or the stylish bandit slayer, may not have cared that much about these situations himself, but the characters around him did. The second season had so many episodes like this that focus more on characters than an actual overarching story, which in this case I think is perfectly fine, because the characters are what make this anime so interesting in the first place. It took me so long to make this video because, to be honest, I didn't know what to say. All I knew was that the second season just felt fundamentally different from the first, and I couldn't put my finger on why. But I definitely know why that is now. I love the Eminence and Shadow Season 2 so much because of the beach episode. That's all.